This video is made possible by Napleton Subaru in Schaumburg. If you're looking for a new Subaru product in the Chicagoland area, Napleton Subaru in Schaumburg is the best place to buy. Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach, and today I am driving a 2018 Ford Ecosport Titanium. Up front is a 2.0 liter inline 4, and down below is a 6-speed automatic transmission. Now, I am super excited to be driving this Ecosport for two reasons. First of all, I've never driven one here on the channel, and while 2018 was the first year of this car, 2022 was the final year for this car. So they're not making any more of these. But the second reason is the fact that I've always had an affinity for these. I think they look cool. They were always interesting to me. And so today I finally get to share my thoughts with you. But before we get on to anything else, I have a website, zackpradel.com, where you can buy stickers and other merchandise when it becomes available. And you can also submit your own vehicle. If you would like a video of your car, just like the one you're watching now of the Ecosport, you can submit your car to my website, zackpradel.com. It's quick and easy, and I come to you. But let's get back to that 2-liter under the hood. Well, that was actually one of the big selling points for the Ecosport, in my opinion. Now, it only comes on the all-wheel drive. The all-wheel drive version gets the 2-liter. However, the base model and front-wheel drive only come with the 3-cylinder turbo, which is a 1-liter. The reason why this was such a selling point for me is because this is actually a Duratec 2-liter. Where have you seen a Duratec 2-liter before? The Mazda MX-5. So this engine was co-developed between Mazda and Ford. It was also put in like the Ford Focus. It was also put in the Mazda 3, and it makes 140 horsepower. The reason that's such a good thing is because this engine, in my experience, I've driven a lot of them and had friends that own a lot of them. They have been very reliable. So if you want reliability, you want to go with the 2-liter. Speaking of reliability, it has a 6-speed automatic. Now, all Ecosports got the 6-speed automatic, but it is not a CVT. It's an actual 6-speed, which just gives me more confidence. Last but not least, as I mentioned with the engine, this is the all-wheel drive version, giving us that 2-liter. So how does it feel to actually drive the Ecosport? Well, it feels bigger on the inside than it actually looks like on the outside. Visibility is okay. I do have pretty thick A-pillars, so much so that they actually had to add an extra window. And with the short wheelbase, you really do feel all the bumps. But if you want a classy ride, get a Lincoln, not a Ford, especially Ford's entry-level vehicle. Turning radius is good because it is so small and the steering isn't too heavy, which is nice to see. However, as you probably hear in the inflection of my voice, the road noise is a little loud, but again, this is entry level. Although titanium, it is entry level. So with that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have 4 physical gauges and a screen. Off to the left is my tachometer, off to the right is my speedometer, and then I have my coolant temperature and fuel as actual physical gauges in the center, and then I get that little customizable screen up above that. Ford is really good about giving you some pretty good information, and I like to see that carried over even to the little guy on the lot. On the steering wheel on the left, I have my selectors for that center gauge cluster screen, as well as my cruise control options, and off to the right, I have my volume, skip track, and voice commands. The overall steering wheel feels good. It's what I expect out of a vehicle from the late 2010s from Ford, so no new territory here. And then off to the left, I have my climate control vent, headlight switches, and gauge dimmer switches. Moving out of the door, I have my lock and unlock up top. Down below is the power mirrors and power window adjustments. Moving into the center, I do get a very sizable infotainment system for the caliber of car. However, it is kind of stuck out in the middle of nowhere. It looks like it was almost hot glued to the dashboard. I do have things like Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and here's what the backup camera looks like, but nothing really wowing me here. Then I have 2 climate control vents and the hazard switch, and then the climate controls themselves. I don't get dual zone, however, I do get heated seats, which is a nice option. Fan speed off to the left, temperature off to the right, and where to send it right dab in the middle. Then I do have the automatic start stop on and off, traction control on and off, and 2 USB-A ports, which is nice to see. The shifter's pulled out of most other Ford products, nothing new here. However, I can plus minus on the side at the push of a button if I'd like to, but I can't imagine doing that much in the Ecosport. Then we do have cup holders, so we will do a big friggin' bottle test. Then I do have a center console, nothing really in there. And we'll talk about the seats. The seats are leather, they are heated and power, which are nice options that the titanium comes with. Really happy to see that. However, they're not crazy comfortable, and again, that ride kind of compromises them, so they're okay. But speaking of seats, we do have back seats, and I'm very interested to see how I fit back there. So let's go do a back seat review. All right, this is my genuine reaction to being locked out. All right, this is my genuine reaction. I've never sat in the back of an Ecosport. Okay, not amazing, not terrible, not honestly as bad as I thought it was going to be. The Fiesta, of which this car is based off of, was way worse. So honestly, not awful, but I also don't love it. I do get a little center console over my shoulder, 2 cup holders in there. I don't get any vents. I do actually get a regular wall outlet, a 110 volt wall outlet. Although I don't get any climate control vents, I get a wall outlet. Weird priorities from Ford. It's not awful back here. I'm living, I'm surviving, I'm not complaining, but at the same time, it's not crazy, but you know, with the Ecosport, you bought this, you know, as someone who needed a car. If you have a family, don't be looking at the Ecosport. If you plan on using the back seat a lot, don't look at the Ecosport. If you plan on driving clients around, don't look at the Ecosport. Let's hop out. We'll take a quick look at the trunk and cargo space, and then we'll talk about the looks. All right, so we're on the back of the Ecosport, and I get to show off probably one of the weirdest design quirks of the Ecosport. So, to open the tailgate, you don't come under here. There's nothing under there. You actually come to the taillight. So over here, this is like just a silver reflector, but over here, it's actually the handle. So it opens like a swing door. Very, very peculiar. You have probably the smallest, cutest little cargo privacy cover I've ever seen. And then down here, you do get an okay amount of space for the car, but in terms of other vehicles, this is very, very small. Now, you can look down here, and you do get a can of Fix-A-Flat and a inflator. You don't actually get a spare tire here in the Ecosport unless you opted for the one mounted to the back, which we'll talk about with the exterior. But that is the swinging door on the back of the Ford Ecosport. Very, very weird. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and I really like the look of the Ecosport. I think it's kind of cute and bubbly and small. It looks like other Ford products just set into a copy machine at 75%. I think it's kind of adorable in that way. And what really drew me to filming this Ecosport today is that I got into an argument with a friend the other day because he was in Europe, and he sent me a picture of an Ecosport with a tire mounted to the back. And I told him that we got that here, and he said, no, we didn't. And so I actually pulled up pictures. One of the first journalistic articles I ever wrote was about the Ecosport with a tire on the back, and I found out that that was a 1-year base model only option here for the Ecosport. So if you see an Ecosport with a spare tire on the back, first of all, I think it looks great, but second of all, that is a very rare option that a lot of people sought after because there is no spare tire otherwise in the Ecosport. So, fun little fact for you there, and part of the exterior. But now, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think driving the Ford Ecosport? Something I've actually lusted over since they came out in 2018 because I have such a connection to it. One of the first articles I ever wrote was about this car, and now I've reviewed over 1,100 cars on YouTube. So while with the Ecosport it wasn't where I started, it was a fun little stepping stone to where I am today. Well, I like the idea of this car. I can't say I love this car in practice. I love the 2-liter under the hood. It's a Duratec, it has Mazda roots, and I'm very familiar with that. I like the 6-speed automatic, and the sole reason that it's not a CVT. And I liked the price point that you could get the Ecosport at. You could find an Ecosport under $20,000 all day long. It was really where they sold. Now, the titanium went up above $20,000, but not many people got the titaniums. There's a lot more volume sellers down below. So this was a very, very affordable car. And when Ford ended up pulling the Fiesta off the market and the Focus off the market, this is what they left for the least expensive Ford product you could buy. And so while that is evident that this is a pretty basic, simple car, I like that they even offered it, that they had an option that was under $20,000. Because when they got rid of this, now the most affordable Ford product is the Ford Maverick, which is really hard to even find at the MSRP listed. And once you get into options, you're well into the $20,000, if not $30,000 range for the most entry-level Ford. Here are Ford's entry-level prices of a couple of their vehicles. Obviously not the Ford GT or anything like that. But now the average cost of a Ford has gone way up. So why did they cancel the Ecosport? Because from where I'm sitting, it's not amazing, but it's not terrible either. Well, there's two main reasons. The first were sales. No one really bought these. In 2019, it had its best year at about 64,000. The first year was around 50,000, but after 2019, the sales dropped heavily, with 2022 having only around 20,000 in sales. For a big name manufacturer, that's not a lot. That's peanuts. The other reason is actually due to our government. Our government has been giving many incentives over the last couple of years to bring manufacturing and jobs back on shores for the United States. This car was built in India by Ford of India. And so when the United States started offering those incentives to come back, Ford decided to end manufacturing in India. So when they scaled back that manufacturing, we lost out. And so the Ecosport went with it. So while I don't really mourn the loss of this specific vehicle, I think the Ecosport is just kind of a filler for Ford's economical vehicles. I miss what it stood for. I miss what it offered. It offered new owners the opportunity to have a Ford product without completely destroying their bank accounts. Now, if you're fresh out of college, starting at an entry-level job, maybe you're at minimum wage, maybe just a touch above minimum wage, Ford is pretty much off the table. Don't even bother looking at their lots. And that's sad. Plus, their most affordable vehicle, their entry-level vehicle now being the Maverick, well, what happens if I don't want a pickup truck? We need cheap cars. We need rough riding cars, because some people in this world don't need bells and whistles and to be comforted. They just need transportation. And now I don't see Ford as that option. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Napleton Subaru for letting me take out their Ecosport. I was so excited to get behind the wheel of one of these after writing about one 5 years ago. I finally get to drive one. Napleton Subaru is absolutely awesome. If you're looking for either an Ecosport or other products, mainly Subaru products, please check them out if you're in the Chicagoland area. Their service is top notch and I can't recommend them enough. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.